All right, this is standard 78, adding and subtracting radicals with unlike radicands. And this is our very last standard, so woohoo! Okay, so a quick combining like terms review. If you have x and 2x, we all know that this is 3x because you add the number in front, this being 1. So if I have 3y plus 3y squared, I know that 3y and y are like terms, but y squared is not a like term. So this would be simplified to 4y plus y squared. Okay, and then I have, just like in the previous standard, 2 times the square root of 3 plus 5 times the square root of 3. We know that the radicands underneath are the same, so we would consider this like terms, and we can go ahead and add the number on the outside. So we have 2 root 3 plus 5 root 3. That means we have 7 root 3. The radicand underneath stays the same, but the number on the outside you add or subtract. Well, if we have an expression with terms with the radicand different, like you see here, we cannot combine those, so that would simply stay 2 root 5 plus 3 root 3. Okay, you cannot combine those together. They must have the same number underneath the square root sign. Okay, so here's your steps. You're going to simplify each radical term and then combine the terms that have like radicands, again, the number underneath here. Okay, so example 1, 4 times the square root of 5 plus 2 root 20. Okay, so the first step, of course, is to simplify. So each term separately. So looking at the 4 root 5, I know that I cannot make a factor tree out of 5. I would only have 1 and 5, and so there's no terms to circle and bring out, so that's already simplified. Now, as far as the 2 root 20, I know that I can make my factor tree with 20, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I have 2 times 10, and then I can break 10 down to 2 times 5, and I'm going to simplify, circle my pairs, and bring them out with this other 2. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down my 4 root 5 and my plus sign, and then I have this 2 that's already out there times the pair of 2's that I'm bringing out, so there it is. And then underneath my radical I have my 5, just like your normal simplifying rules. So we need to obviously multiply those together. So I'm going to bring this down again, 4 root 5 plus 2 times 2 is 4 root 5. So now as you see, we have like radicands, so we can go ahead and add those together. So we're going to add the numbers on the outside, and that will become 8 root 5. The radicand does not change. Okay, so example 2, square root of 12 minus the square root of 3. So as you see here, the 3 you can't simplify, you're just going to have 1 and 3. But 12 we can go ahead and make a factor tree. So we have 2 and 6 and 2 and 3. So I'm going to circle my pair of 2's. Of course, bring those onto the outside. So I have 2 root 3. I'm going to bring down my minus sign and my other square root of 3. So this is 2 square root of 3 minus 1 square root of 3. There's technically a 1 in front. But as in any other algebra problem, we do not always have to write the 1. So this would become 1 root 3, or in other words, root 3, the more simplified way without the 1 in front. But you're more than welcome to write the 1 in front if it helps you. Okay, example 3, 2 root of 18 plus 2 root 32. So I'm going to go ahead and make a factor tree for both. So we have 2 and 9 here, and 2, 3, and 3. So I'm going to go ahead and circle my pair of 3's. That's going to come to the outside with these other two. So this will simplify. I have my 3 that I pulled out times the 2 that's already out there. And then underneath the square root sign will be this loner 2 that had nobody. Okay, and now I'm going to make a factor tree for this second term. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and simplify this all the way down. This is 3 times 2 on the outside, so we have 6 root 2. Okay, now I'm going to simplify my other term here. So 32, my factor tree, I'm going to do 4 and 8. Break 4 down to 2 and 2. Break 8 down to 2 and 4. Break 4 down to 2 and 2. Circle my pairs of 2, so there's a pair, and then I have a loner there. So I'm going to obviously bring both of these pairs out with the 2 that's already out there. So I'm going to bring down my plus sign. So I have my 2 that's there, and then my first pair of 2's, my second pair of 2's, and then underneath the square root sign I have my loner 2 right there. I'm going to simplify this. So 2 times 2 here is 4 times another 2 is 8. So 8 square root of 2. And as you can see, I now have radicands that are the same underneath the radical. So I can go ahead and combine these together, but I just add the outside numbers. So I now have 14 root 2. 14 times the square root of 2. And that is my final answer. And example 4. So now I have 3 different terms, so you're going to need to simplify each of the terms separately and combine just like when we had 2 terms. So my 8, I know I will go with 2 and 4 and 2 and 2. Circle my pair of 2's, bring those to the outside, 2, and then underneath we have the loner 2. Bring down my plus sign. For 12 I have 2 and 6. And then 6 breaks down to 2 and 3. Circle my 2's. So I have a pair of 2's on the, so I have a 2 on the outside that I'm going to bring out, and my 3 still only on the inside. And now I have 18, so I'm going to simplify that to 2 and 9. And then 9 breaks down to 3 and 3. And circle my 3's and bring those to the outside. So bring down my plus sign. I have 3 and then root 2. Okay, so now I need to look at my simplified terms and see if there's any that I can combine together. So I see here that this term, 3 root 2 and 2 root 2, both have a 2 underneath the square root sign. So I can combine those outside numbers, which would give me 5 root 2. And then I can just, and I can't combine this with anything because it has a 3 underneath the square root sign. So I'm just going to bring that down and leave that as 2 root 3. And that is my simplified answer. Sometimes you can't simplify it down to all the way down to one term. You would just leave it as 2 separate terms. All right, here's your you try problems. Go ahead and simplify these. Combine any terms that you can combine and bring those to class tomorrow.